Hey familia, Miranda here. Welcome to another episode of First Viewing, where I share my thoughts and recommendations with you guys on films that I watched for the very first time. So I got a good little bunch today. We're going to go on ahead and get right on into things. All right, so first up we have Play It to the Bone. Now this was a solid boxing flick, though I will say I would have liked kind of more of the whole boxing aspect in it, like more of like a build-up, more of the whole kind of training stuff, because you really only get like a couple of flashbacks, and then of course you have the main event, which might I say was actually pretty epic. But basically you have these two friends, they get called upon like last minute, like, hey, we need some fighters, you guys willing to go up against each other, because they're like best friends. And so they both agree, and so they're both kind of like flat out broke. They acquire the help of his girlfriend, which is actually his ex-girlfriend, to drive them to Vegas to get to the fight, because obviously they can't fly because they just don't got the money or whatever. And it's pretty much, I would say the majority of the film is kind of just this road trip. It's just a bunch of conversation in the car, the two of them with the girlfriend or whatever. And so yeah, it's pretty much that. It's in a way a road trip, and then you get to like the main event. Like I said, there's not really any training going on or any real build up there, but the road trip part, the conversations that they have, I thought the three of them, so the two guys and then her, which is the girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, they have really good chemistry, and she doesn't really pick sides, though she makes it seem like it to them that she is. But overall, I mean, it's a pretty solid flick, but no, it's not like, whoo, like full-blown kind of boxing and stuff like that. But the main event is really, really awesome, you guys. It definitely, kind of was more than I had expected. So, but I enjoyed this for the most part. All right, next up we have The Inkwell. You have a young Lorenz Tate in here, and might I say, he does not age, you guys, like for real. But this is a great little kind of coming of age flick that takes place during the summer. Basically, you have this kid, he goes with his parents to visit his aunt and his grandma in this area where it's known as the Inkwell or whatever, like the beach or whatever that is, in that area. And he's kind of a little, or at least his family kind of thinks that he's trouble, but he's not really, you guys. He's just kind of like misunderstood, if you will. But he just so happens to fall for a girl, but then ends up kind of befriending this older woman, and some things kind of like happen between them and everything. And I thought him and the older woman actually had some really great chemistry. And I thought that they were just like a really good kind of pair or whatever, like even just like their conversations and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's a pretty good coming of age flick. I'd recommend it. All right, next one I have here is Call Me By Your Name. Now, I'm not going to say that I love this, but I did really like this film. It's a nice little, not your typical kind of a love story, but your two mains, they are fantastic, you guys. They both deliver great performances. Armie Hammer's character basically plays this intern. He shows up at Timothy Chalamet's family's home to stay there for the summer. And so basically they form this kind of interesting connection, interesting bond, if you will, and that kind of turns into this whole love story that is a bit on the awkward side. Now, Armie Hammer's character, he kind of can come off as a jerk at times, and their intentions, or his intentions with Chalamet's character, aren't necessarily like straightforward, but there's this really unique chemistry, this really kind of sweet aspect to their love story that kind of blossoms or whatever. Now, the story moved along a little slow for my taste, but there are just some beautiful shots, like beautiful cinematography. There's like certain like water scenes, there's pool scenes, there's like the countryside, all of that, because they are, I forget whereabouts they are, in Italy. So they're in Italy. So yes, some really, really nice cinematography in here. Really great performances, and just, it's a beautiful story, to be honest, you guys. It is. And I did enjoy it. Like I said, I didn't necessarily absolutely love it, but it's definitely worth checking out. There's some interesting scenes in here, especially that peach scene. Oh my goodness. But yeah, but I thought the two of them, they were pretty cute together and everything. Obviously, Armie Hammer's character is much older than Timothy Chalamet in here. But yeah, there was one moment in here, I will say, that really got to me, where Timothy Chalamet is talking with his dad kind of towards the end of the film, and then there's a phone call, and I don't know, it just kind of in a way made me kind of mad, that specific phone call. Like, really, you're gonna end it on that note? Like, I don't know, you guys, but definitely check this one out. All right, so next up we have Next Goal Wins. And I gotta say, you guys, I enjoyed this one way more than I expected to. This is such a fun and just kind of heartfelt, very feel-good kind of film, you guys. But basically it has to do with America Samoa, and it is based on the true story. And it takes place basically after their 31-0 FIFA loss in 2001. And so basically you have this kind of down on his luck coach who's basically kind of forced in a way to go and coach this team. And the team, let's just say they're kind of into like a whole lot of just nonsense. Their players aren't very great. They're not in shape or anything like that. And they just kind of mess around or whatever. It's like, okay, it's soccer. We're playing. It's cool and stuff. And so they don't really care whether they're like trying to win or anything like that. And the coach steps in, he plays all the drills and everything on him, and he kind of really gets them going, like little by little. He starts to kind of become attached to like some of the players, and they go out and recruit other players to kind of form this really awesome team, for the qualifiers and everything. Especially the player Jaya in here. I really, really felt for their character because they are trans, you guys. And at first the coach, he really wasn't down for it. And there's just a lot of moments in here that are just kind of very heartfelt and even a little upsetting at times. But I feel like the coach really formed, not just as a coach, but more as like a friend with Jaya. They just kind of had this really nice little connection going on and stuff. And Jaya was the one that really kind of helped to get the team going and be like, hey, we need to put our work in and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. And so the coach, obviously, he kind of threw the towel in various times, but for whatever reason, something always pulled him back in and stuff. And it is just a very kind of inspirational, very fun. There's some just really great funny moments in this film and stuff. And I like a lot of the players, like certain people, especially like this guy right here. He's always just very like comedic and stuff like that. And which one is it? I think it's this guy right here, him too. But yeah, just a lot of great characters in here. And this is just an overall really, really fun time. So definitely check it out. All right, next up, Sing Street. Oh my gosh, you guys, I freaking love this one so much. I cannot stress enough how good this film is. You definitely need to watch it. The music in here is fantastic. But basically, you have this kid. He has like kind of moved to his new school, and so he meets this girl right here. She doesn't go to the school, but she's just kind of there in the neighborhood. Like she lives in the neighborhood where his school is, like across the street or whatever. And so he falls for her. She already has a boyfriend and everything, and so he kind of makes up this little lie. He's like, oh yeah, I'm in this band or whatever, and he's really not. But so he goes off just to impress her. He goes off and he creates this band with some new school friends and stuff like that. And they are awesome, you guys. They are so awesome. And just all the songs in here are just absolutely fantastic. And what I liked about the songs is they're not just like these like, nonsense type songs. They have meaning to them. They have background to them. They have like story to them, like they just kind of are so in depth, and they're just kind of about like life matters and stuff like that. So it was really cool that all of that was kind of put into these songs. Like they were really like relatable and stuff. And so they, you get to see the band play. You get to see them filming their own music videos and everything, which is pretty awesome. And she joins in, and there's just some crazy connection between the two of them, which is just fabulous, you guys. Talk about some very, very strong character chemistry there. But this one, I cannot stress enough how much I love this one, you guys. So good. You definitely need to check this one out if you have not. Because, yeah, the music, the storyline, everything about this film is seriously, like, perfection. All right, next up is The Night of the Hunter. Now, I'd heard some pretty great things on this film, and I definitely enjoyed this one. I wouldn't say that it was one that just kind of blew me away or anything, but it was very, very good, you guys. Your main guy here, he's definitely comes off kind of as a nice guy, but he in reality is just very, very sinister. Every time he sang, you guys, like it just kind of sends chills, you know? It sends you chills because I don't know what it is, but he there was something very, very creepy about him. But basically, you have this guy, he befriends this guy in prison, and obviously, this guy is like, yeah, I have these like $10,000 hidden away, you know, with my kids and stuff like that. And so he ends up having the guy killed. He goes and meets the mother and basically, you know, the wife or whatever. And so he basically, she's this widow and he ends up marrying her and is trying to figure out from the kids like where this money is hidden. Like that's all he wants is the money. So he goes through great lengths to marry the mother and become the, you know, stepfather to the kids so he can get information from them as to the whereabouts of the money. Like all that for $10,000. And it's crazy because then he obviously the mother's out of the picture and now it's just the two kids and they are trying to escape him, and he goes on his little journey to go after them so that he can get this dang money. It's pretty crazy, you guys, to think that he would go all those lengths just for $10,000. But it is, you guys. And he's definitely very sinister. There's something evil about him, even though he's a supposed like preacher and stuff. But yeah, you guys, it's very, very good. Definitely recommend it if you have not seen it. I'm sure many people probably have since it gets all the hype and everything. But yeah, Night of the Hunter, pretty good. All right, next up is Mother. This film, you guys, is nuts. It is very, very strange. It definitely has you kind of thinking one way who the psychological aspect is with, but then it kind of takes you like a whole other route that you weren't really expecting. But this film is super bizarre, and it is a film that honestly, for me, it just made me feel mad the entire time. Like you kind of feel like you're in Jennifer Lawrence's shoes and you understand why she's so upset, why she's getting mad, why she's feeling the way that she's feeling with her husband and everything. And it's intense, you guys. This is a crazy psychological thriller, and the thrill is definitely there, you guys, for sure. And I think Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem both delivered some great performances. But yeah, this one is just one, it was super intense, you guys. And it just kind of got weirder and weirder and weirder by the minute. And yeah, like even kind of by the end, there was like that whole baby scene, like that just kind of like broke my heart, man. I was like, oh my goodness, it was jaw dropping. But anywho, this film, you guys, I do recommend this one if you're into the, like, you know, strange, because it is definitely out there. But it's one that you can you definitely feel for, like I said, Jennifer Lawrence's character, and you're just kind of, it feels like you're in her shoes and you're feeling everything that she is going through, and it's just kind of exhausting in a way. But oh my gosh, this was really, really good, but very, very weird. All right, so next is Tag. Now, going into this, honestly, I really didn't expect much, but this is another film too that I actually kind of came out really, really enjoying. It is a super fun film, and it's crazy to even believe that this is actually based on, you know, like, true events and everything. There really was this group of friends who every May or whatever for the entire month played tag ever since they were little kids. But it's like extreme tag, you guys. Like it's like drop what you're doing, whether you're at work, whether you're sitting on the toilet, whatever the case may be. You have to. If you get tagged, then that's it. Then you got to go and tag somebody else or whatever. But it just went to kind of extreme lengths. So I mean, it came up with like a whole bunch of having to create all these lies and everything just to, you know, be able to tag each other. And if that meant like, you know, going across the country or whatever to tag someone, that was the case. But yeah, you guys, this was actually, I really enjoyed this one very, very much. It was definitely funny for sure. It was super fun, you guys. And there's even just kind of some, heartfelt moments in here. It's definitely kind of just a feel-good film that you can just pop on and be like, you know, just put it on and it's fun. So yeah, definitely give this one a shot. If you've been a little iffy about it, it's definitely a fun one. And yeah, just 5 competitive friends here. One of them has actually never been tagged, and so it's like literally the other friend's mission to tag him. But it's a blast for sure, you guys. All right, next one I have here is Hostage High. This one is based on a true story. Gotta say, I did enjoy this one, you guys. It's nothing too super over the top crazy, but you do get the whole scene and everything where, you know, students and teachers and everything are being shot in here and stuff. And I will say it's definitely kind of a hard watch considering, you know, all of the mass school shootings that have been happening nowadays and everything. It's just it's never like an easy thing to watch, even in a movie, you guys. But Rick Schroeder, Freddie Prinze Jr., and even Henry Winkler's in here, who played the negotiating officer. They were all really good. And so this is your bad guy here, who basically, you know, he's the one that's going off shooting all these people, and then he takes hostage about like 60 students or whatever. And it's, I don't know, his motives are just kind of more on a personal level. And stuff, just because it feels like one specific teacher ruined his life or whatever, and so he decides to take all these, you know, kids hostages and stuff like that. But little by little, Freddie Prinze Jr., he kind of gets to him, kind of talks to him, kind of in a way befriends him, so that he can get to, you know, like letting the hostages go and everything. And he's the one that's kind of more on the phone with, you know, the negotiator and everything. But overall, this is a really good film, you guys, and I do recommend you check it out. But I mean, yeah, so it's, you know, high school shooting hostage situation. Next up is Perfect Victims. This one, you guys, I barely made it through. This wasn't exactly what I had in mind, and I just felt like this film was just super all over the place. There was just way too much kind of happening, yet nothing was really happening, if that makes any sense. And I dig Jesse Bradford. Like, I loved him in Swim Fan, but this film, like, it was just, it's basically these friends that are kind of searching for this ultimate high. So there's always like some sort of like adrenaline stuff kind of going on, but at the same time, I felt like the film really dragged at times. And it was just like way too much happening, and way too much that wasn't really happening. So I don't know. I barely got through this, you guys. Like, I don't even know what the heck I was watching most of the time that I was even watching this. So this is definitely a no-go, and I do not recommend this one. It's not as intense as it's made out to be, like from what you read on the back of the film. But I don't know. I have no idea what to make of this film. I was like, this just seems pointless. All right, so next is Board Heads. I honestly wasn't too impressed by this one. I mean, it was okay for what it is. It's definitely cheesy, definitely dumb, but I was expecting just kind of like over the top cheese, over the top dumbness, and I was expecting this to be even just like a little bit more like on the raunchy side or something, and it just really wasn't there. It just lacked a little something more to really have made this kind of a more fun film. But basically, you have these two friends. One of them is about to get kicked out of his apartment, and so he needs to make some money quick to come up with, you know, the money to stay where he is and stuff before it gets turned into this condo or whatever. Anywho, him and his friend, they decide that they're gonna come up with this whole kind of like bikini Olympics or what competition or whatever. And so they get a bunch of girls in bikinis, like you have to be wearing a bikini to participate. As they come up with all these different like events and stuff like that. And so there's also these like three guys who are not very good at, you know, talking to the ladies, and so these two kind of you know, help them out, coach them and stuff like that. And so it, in a way, like that certain aspect of it definitely reminded me kind of Hard Bodies, if you guys have seen that one. The whole where, you know, the guys, they pay this other dude to, you know, help them get the ladies and stuff like that. So it was a little bit of that kind of mixed in here. And I mean, Board Heads, you don't really get much surfing in here. Like, there's like a tiny bit, but Board Heads is more so the term. Like, that's what they are called, is Board Heads, because they're surfer dudes and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. This just lacked something special for me to really put it up there as being like a great kind of dumb, cheesy comedy or whatever. But I mean, it was okay, but I don't think it's one that I would really watch again. Now, Novocaine, on the other hand, this was a super fun comedy, you guys. Steve Martin and Helena Bonham Carter, I thought the two of them were just super fun together. They just had some really good chemistry there. And then, of course, you have Laura Dern in here. She basically plays his fiance, but then Helena Bonham Carter walks into the picture and just kind of changes things. But basically, this leads to murder and him being framed for those murders and stuff. And so, I mean, I thought the twist was kind of fun and everything as to who, you know, the actual like killer was or whatever. But this one, it's definitely, he goes just through a lot, a lot of just kind of nonsense and everything. And so he's trying to prove that he is not the one who is committing these murders or anything like that. And so it's just a lot of things. Like he just starts to go kind of down on his luck. It's just one thing after another. Like I said, these two together, I thought they were super fun, you guys. So I definitely check this one out. It's not really a film you hear much on. So yeah, you guys, I recommend this one. It is just a great little comedy and like murder mystery. So definitely check it out. All right, we got a couple more to go. So next up we have From Prada to Nada. This one is basically, in a sense, like Material Girls. If you guys have seen that one with Hillary and Haley Duff, which I actually like that one better. But this one, basically, you have these girls. They're a couple of rich girls, so they pretty much have everything that they could want. And, you know, they get everything that they need and desire and everything. But the dad dies. And so 1 minute they're living in this like big old mansion. Next minute they are living in like this kind of crowded house with their aunt and some other like family and stuff like that. Like on the other side of LA or whatever. I think it's in LA. But anywho, and so they're not very in touch with like their Mexican heritage and stuff, and so they're just not used to everything, like being poor, being, you know, using such kind of clothes or whatever, and driving such kind of car. So everything is kind of a downgrade for them. And so along the way, they both actually kind of find love. They kind of start to appreciate more their heritage and their family, and you know, where they're staying and everything like that. And so, I mean, it was okay. I mean, I would watch it again just because I do like Material Girls, and this kind of has a similar feel to it. And I really like the whole like Mexican aspect, like the Mexican heritage and everything that's portrayed in here. Like from the celebrations to the food to just a bunch of stuff in here, like the whole family togetherness, all of that. So definitely one that I wouldn't mind checking out again. So I thought it was pretty fun. All right, last but not least is a recommendation that came from my buddy Kenny. So he'd been bugging for me to check this film out, so I finally did, and that is Albatross. Your two main girls here, definitely, they were very good, and I thought overall this film was okay. It wasn't anything that I loved or super liked, but it was okay. Basically, you have this girl here. She kind of walks into the life of this girl. They become friends and stuff. She actually starts working as a maid at the hotel that her family runs. And so she kind of helps her come out of her shell, but she ends up kind of starting this affair with the girl's father. And aside from it being an affair, like I honestly thought that this girl and the dad actually had a nice kind of little like bond, like a friendly bond, because I think that she definitely kind of brought out the better in the father and kind of helped him out with like his writing work, because he's this writer who literally just spends the day in the room trying to figure things out, and he's just had writer's block or whatever. And so she stumbles along and just kind of really changes that thing for him. I will say though, like this wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I was definitely expecting more intensity, more of like a sensual aspect, because you don't really get much from the affair between her and the father. But like I said, they have a good chemistry, but it's more of like a friendship there. And then the two of them together, they too have just a really nice little chemistry going as well. The mother in this film, though, I will say, I did not like her. She was a biatch. So, but I mean, overall, this was okay. And the storyline was fine and everything. There's some really nice like cinematography and everything in here, because they are kind of, you know, like near the water and like the countryside, all of that. So there's definitely some, you know, kind of beautiful shots and everything in here. But honestly, I think this girl, she was just really trying to find herself as a person, because I think like her life, like she's just kind of missing people in her life, and just was kind of brought up on like certain like little lies and everything like that. And so I think that in a way, this film, you know, befriending her, helping her come out of her shell, and then kind of befriending the father and having this affair with him, it kind of just helped her to really kind of realize who she was and everything and stuff. So, I mean, there's some nice aspects to the film, but it's not necessarily one that I kind of see myself watching again. But overall, it was pretty decent. So that is it for today's episode, you guys. Let me know if you guys have seen any of these films and your thoughts on them. I would love to know. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the family if you have not, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.